My dear friends, now please stop. Yes, I said stop. And saying you stop, I'm just quoting a message from Our Lady. She said, dear children, stop and reflect on your future. Where do you want to go? Where do you want to end up? And that's the question. Each of us, we are racing somewhere, but where? Where shall we end up? I have a few good news to tell you. According to what we choose, the good news is for every one of us, we have been created at the image of God, the likeness of God. And this tells much. Because if we are created at the image of God, we also have to know we've been created in such a beautiful way, a great way, that our heart is capable to contain God Himself in all His dimensions. Can you imagine the greatness of your heart? Can you imagine the dimension of your heart? Can you imagine the potential of love that you have in your heart, of light, of peace? Can we think of that about a few minutes while we are together? So Alice, stop and reflect. Where do you want to go? Now, the good news is that our destination is heaven. Don't forget, dear children, that the goal of your life is heaven. And now, what is heaven? Heaven is a place where definitely we are united with God. We are one thing with God. This incredible heart that we have received as a creature of God is capable to be one with Him. And this is our destiny. This is our joy. This is eternal bliss. And this is the dream of God, that we become that saint that He has created us for. The problem is that we have been deviated. Our Lady said, Satan deviates you through modernism, through materialism and egoism. And materialism, egoism, what it means that we do everything for the earth. But another good news that I want to share is that God's plan is perfect for us. And it's a plan of happiness, my dear ones. Happiness. Do you know what it is? Happiness, to be happy on earth and also, of course, in heaven. Doesn't mean on earth we don't have the trials and the little and the big suffering and pain or sicknesses and mourning the dear one, of course. But there is a big difference living all these trials and pains, sufferings with Jesus or without Jesus. And if we live them without Jesus, it leads to where? To desperation, to despair. And I don't wish that for us. I don't wish it. Now listen to this message. It's full of hope. Our Lady gave this on December 25th, 1999, which is the time when we left the second millennium to enter the third millennium. And she gave a message about that century that was coming. Listen, just a part of the message. Little children, today in a special way, with little Jesus, whom I hold in my embrace, I am giving you the possibility to decide for peace. Through your yes for peace and your decision for God, a new possibility for peace is opened. Only in this way, little children, this century will be for you. Now, listen, the century will be for you a time of peace and prosperity. She said prosperity, well-being. Okay, and she asked us to put God, to put Jesus at the first place in our life, and He will lead us on the way of salvation. Now, it's beautiful that Our Lady reminds us the goal, the destination, the last station. Because you know, when you travel, you better have a goal. You better have a destination. I'll give you an example. If I am in Paris and I want to go to Chicago, well, not enough to say, well, it would be good that I reach Chicago one day. That would be nice. No, it's not enough. I have to check if I have some vacation. I have to check if there is a flight there, how much it costs, if I have the money, if I don't have to work to get the money. I have to check if my passport is updated and what sort of weather there is there at that period of time, and. So only when I check everything, I can really get into the flight and fly to Chicago safely. Why don't we do that for God? Why don't we do that for the goal of heaven? Why don't we do that for the best future that we can imagine, even we cannot imagine is so beautiful? No, I am asking you, what sort of ticket have you chosen? I'm asking you. The ticket you have chosen for your journey, where does it lead you? Does it lead you to heaven? Does it lead you to holiness, which is the fullness of love in your heart? You know, I want to read for you a few messages that will shake a little bit our sleeping souls. Dear children, I invite you to reflect about your future. You are creating a new world without God, only with your own strength, and this is why you are not satisfied and are without joy in the heart. She said also in another message, you have made the civilization improve a lot, but without God. And I remember something from the gospel. Jesus said, every plant that my Father has not planted will be uprooted. Now, if this world of today, that is very materialistic, has not been founded on God Himself, the only foundation that we can dream of, has our world of today in the future. Look at this pandemic. One little thing that is called a bacteria or a virus, little, not even visible by an eye, could make the whole world in crisis and in economical shock. So much suffering, so many dead, so many sickness, so much fear, so much anxiety. For a little thing like it was enough to have this little tiny thing to have the whole world destabilized because it was not founded on God. But there is a promise. Our Lady has come to give us hope. It's not too late. It's not too late, my dear. So it all depends on us, the decision we will make. And each of our decisions is very important for the whole world. You know, the devil said to the cure of Ars, Jean-Marie Vianney, who was such a saint. He would pray a lot, he would love God so much, and he would give his life for his parishioners, and he would pray and fast and be charitable and sacrifice himself days and nights. He was such a saint. And you know, Satan was enraged against him. So much enraged that sometimes he lost it, and he said some confidences that are very, very interesting for us and in information. He said, if there were only 3 like you in France, I wouldn't be able to put my feet in that country. 3 Jean-Marie Vianney would have been enough to get rid of Satan in my country, France. Well, maybe he didn't find the 2 other ones, but we are these other ones, and we can have an incredible power on the heart of God. God wants our happiness. Listen to a few messages that are very significant. Dear children, God sends me to you out of love, that I may help you to comprehend that without Him there is no future or joy, or above all, there is no eternal salvation. Little children, I call you to leave sin and to accept prayer at all times. That was in April 97. In January 2001, she said, little children, the one who prays is not afraid of the future, and the one who fasts is not afraid of evil. Once again, I repeat to you, only through prayer and fasting, wars can be stopped. Wars of your unbelief and fear for the future. I am with you, dear children, and I'm teaching you, little children, your peace and hope are in God. You are concerned about everything else but the least for the soul and spiritual life. Awaken from the tired sleep of your soul and say yes to God with all your strength. Decide for conversion. Now one day there was a scoop. I went to the apparition with Maria Pavlovich, who received the message of the 25th every month. I was in her little chapel. So it was Christmas Day. And on Christmas Day, day of joy. So Maria received the apparition. She goes to the sacristy to write the message. She comes back and her face was like very, very shocked. She could hardly speak. And she said, with a tiny voice, Our Lady did not give any message today. But then she said, baby Jesus gave the message. Baby Jesus, she said, was sitting on the arm of his mom. And he spoke with authority like a little boy of 7. But he was a newborn. And what did he say? 2 sentences. 2. What did he say? I am your peace. Live my commandments. That's it. I am your peace. Why do you seek peace where it gets lost? Why do you seek peace the wrong way and the wrong places? Why do you seek peace in human being? Only from God. God is your peace. The peace comes from God. It's a gift. We can have a earthly tranquility for a while. No, everything is good. I have to eat. I have a good job. I have a roof, a good car, a good family. We have in good health. We have peace. No, we have tranquility. And look, a virus can put all down. It's not peace. Tranquility is not peace. It's good. Nothing against it. But it's not that peace that Jesus wants to give us. The peace that is above all understanding, says St. Paul. We cannot imagine. Peace is when we are absolutely fulfilled with God himself in our heart. That's heaven. I am your peace. Live my commandments. Now, I'm afraid we did not really live the commandments. When I see the world, I see many, many beautiful things that are being born, definitely. And I remember Maria Pavlovich 2 years ago said, the triumph of the Immaculate Heart of Mary has already started. And she knows what she's speaking about, okay? Vitska tells that the triumph of Our Lady's heart is very near. She said that, very near. So we are getting there, even if before we are going to have a hard time. But the thing is that I see that if some beautiful things are being born, others are collapsing. Many things are evil. And I want to quote this message from July 25th, 2019. He said, sin will reign, dear children, and you will not be strong. But if you are mine, your refuge will be the heart of my son Jesus, which is the Eucharist. The Eucharist, she said, is the heart of my son Jesus. So sin will reign. She said that in summer 2019. And what did she say in March 2020, a few months ago? Satan reigns, and he wants to destroy you and the planet where you are walking. What happened within those two messages? Sin will reign is the future, and Satan reign is the present. What happened? We didn't live the commandments. We did not live the commandments. Sin is everywhere, and grave sin, and mortal sin, and sin that leads to death. Death of the soul, but sometimes also death of the body. So my point today is an invitation. And the invitation, Our Lady said it herself very clearly, dear children. I invite you to change radically the direction of your life. Put God at the first place. And thus, you will have with him a secure way. Today, security does not exist. If you know a place that is absolutely secure, just give me the address, okay? But I don't think security is now available so much. But she gives the key of security. Put my son Jesus at the first place, which means we become dependent on him. Lord, I want to marry that person. What do you think of that? And you pray, and you'll feel in your heart if this is really from God. Lord, I want to choose that kind of job in my life, that kind of studies, okay? What do you think, Lord? I want to depend on you. Show me the way. Show me what you have prepared for me. Show me your will. Show me the best. Because you know me. You know the world. You know the future. So I trust in you blindly because you will lead me to the right thing. And believe me, my dear friends, if we do the will of God, there will be much less suffering. But when we go astray, then we create our own misery. So it's true, we are very smart in technology, in sport, in all kinds of medical care. We are very smart in many things, the earthly thing. And thank God we are smart. Nothing wrong in that. But why did we neglect the Word of God, the call of God? Why did we neglect our destiny, our eternity? Eternity lasts very, very, very long. Our earthly life, it's a promenade. It's just a little walk that has a quick end. Maybe tomorrow, maybe in 50 years. What is the difference comparing to eternity? As I said before, we've been created at the image of God, and our heart is capable of an immense love. And we use, like, I would say 10% of this capacity. We may use a little bit of our potential. But you know, when Our Lady looks at us as a mother, she has a great deep desire. She has a dream that we fulfill the plan of God. And instead of using like 10% of our capacity of happiness and love, that we use the whole of thing. And she came for that. She came that we may live in its fullness, God's plan, God's dream on us. And it's beautiful. And if she comes to Medjugorje, if she comes in other places of the world, she comes to all our heart when we pray the rosary. She's so close to us. It's to lead us to that fulfillment of our capacity of love and happiness. So God is beautiful, and she wants us to discover and to find out how beautiful he is, so that we may be attracted, that we may desire him and follow him. And she's a mother, so she's also telling us that she knows our misery, she knows our problems, she knows our sadness, our failures, our everything. She knows everything. And she said, little children, open your heart, dear children, and give me everything that is there. The joys, the sadness, and each pain, even the little ones, so that I may offer them to Jesus, and that with his immense love, he could burn your sadness and transform them into the joy of his resurrection. So don't be stopped by your failure, your misery, your sin. Confess your sin, abandon sin, and just run to Jesus, who is mercy itself. And Our Lady will take your hand and lead you there. But we have to make a decision. Change radically the direction of our life. Don't take the gift of God, which is to have food, to have a roof, to have a family, to have the health, to have a good health, to have a good job, to have whatever we have. This is good. These are means, and we made that our goal. Racing to obtain all these things. To have, to buy, to possess, to control, that's the wrong way. The more we abandon ourselves in the hands of God, the better peace we have, because He's the one to lead us on the right path, to the right destination. You know, I've met many people in my life. I'm not young anymore. I've many people. But I can tell you one thing. The most beautiful people I ever met. And you can see the light in their eyes, in their look, in their gaze. You can see the peace, the deep peace. They might be old, young, healthy, not healthy, sick even. They can be physically beautiful or not beautiful. The eyes speak about the soul. And the best people I ever met are those who have abandoned completely their life into the hands of God, and they are led by God through prayer, faithful prayer, and living the commandments of God, simply, but united with God, who have chosen the best ticket for the best destination, to be one with God already on earth, to be one with Him the best we can through prayer and living the commandments, living the sacraments with humility. So I want to finish my little presentation, so to speak, with this beautiful prayer of Charles de Foucauld. He's a French now. He was a blessed, but now he's a saint. He has been canonized by Pope Francis, and he has that beautiful prayer. He was a terrible sinner, very carnal man. He was even ugly. He was so carnal, you know. And he had a major conversion in Paris, and he had a beautiful life of deep adoration of the Blessed Sacrament and helping the poor in North Africa. And listen to his prayer. Make his prayer your prayer. Father, I abandon myself into your hands. Do with me what you will. Whatever you may do, I thank you. I'm ready to all. I accept all. Let only your will be done, in me and in all your creatures. I wish no more than this, O Lord. Into your hands I commend my soul. I offer it to you with all the love of my heart, for I love you, Lord, and so need to give myself, to surrender myself into your hands without reserve and with boundless confidence, because you are my Father. Amen.